I wrote River of Time years ago for my daughters who were reluctant readers. And I wanted to have a lot of romance, a lot of action, and it caught their attention and made them readers. And I was so delighted to find out that it made other reluctant readers as well. And that series sparked such interest and had such a great following that I have never gotten over it. I have never had more fan letters, more emails, more messages than on that series. And I've written a couple series since then, but it was my River of Time tribe that I kept coming back to and thinking about. So when I started thinking about a new project, I thought, well, let's go back to that beloved crew and write the next generation, essentially. And that became Estuary. No one was more excited than I to return to medieval Italy. I love the romance of the era, the lords and ladies, the sword fights, and a simpler time. I mean, a very rough, hardcore time. I don't think I'd really want to live there, but to visit in fiction is a delight. I'm holding this giant ampersand because that is a question we're going to get a lot. And no, you don't have to read River of Time before you read Oceans of Time. I think we've given you plenty of clues, reintroductions to characters, and we really start off with new characters for this series. So if you've read River of Time, I think it will make your experience all the richer. But no, you don't have to before you begin Estuary. I try not to snack much while I'm writing because that can be a slippery slope and I can gain weight like I'm a semi-pro at it. So I like to have some healthy seltzer waters, like Spindrift is my new favorite, and some nuts like walnuts or almonds within reach if I really need something. I think I'd have to pick Tiliani because she's the perfect mix of go-getter and mellowness that would make her a perfect travel companion. But I'd really be fun to include Luca because I love how he keeps me laughing. I was that kid who read cereal boxes. I was that kid who read underneath the covers at night until my mom yelled at me to go to sleep. So I would read anything and everything. I read a lot of Nancy Drew because that's what was available. But I also read Little Women and Island of the Blue Dolphins and Where the Red Fern Grows. And I loved it all. And that's kind of why I write so broadly today and still read so broadly today. I'm not tied to any one genre, but I sure love this time travel genre. It's been a kick in the pants to write. I have two puppies, Winnie, Winnie, and Willow, and they are not helpful at all. They're just total distractions. Okay, this is tricky. In dual time periods, you really have to pay attention to the vocabulary. Different words came in at different dates. Now, in medieval times, we can't totally hold to that because so much of the language has changed. But I try to do my best to check on dates of when a word came in. If it seems like a modern word, really check your dictionary and see what date it originated. It just helps make your time periods feel more authentic. An interesting fact is that in medieval Italy, there were no tomatoes used in cuisine. Can you imagine Italian cuisine without spaghetti and tomato sauces? They didn't actually arrive until much later, a couple hundred years later. So I had to not have any recipes or food depicted with tomatoes. The most difficult part of writing estuary for me were the martial arts scenes, because I've never taken any lessons in anything like that. So I had to rely heavily on some reader friends who were experts, and they helped me write those scenes. With a beautiful view of Pikes Peak from our new home, I love to share a home with others. So we do a fair amount of entertaining, but I also love planning our next trip. It helps fuel my writing and inspires me to keep working if I know where we're going next. I write to not one particular soundtrack, but actually a lot of movie scores that move me. And so when I'm in the library writing and I have my headphones on, I am playing out scenes and it seems like a movie to me as I write. I love that. Truthfully, I don't get stuck very often. My big obstacle is to get my butt in the chair and my headphones on and engaged in what I had written last. And then I can just roll. I usually roll. If I get stuck on one scene, I might jump forward to the next scene if I know what I'm doing there, and then come back and write that intermediary scene afterward. The most enjoyable scenes for me to write are always the action scenes. They just kind of flow, they're super fast for me, or the swoony romance scenes. I love those too. That's a really good question. I've been privileged to go to Italy 6 times. I always say, don't ever go to Italy because you'll have to go back. It gets under your skin. And we have gone everywhere from Rome all the way up to Venice and over to the Dolomites, which are the Italian Alps. But the place that calls us back again and again, because of the food, the people, the landscape, is Tuscany. Lisa, don't get ahead of yourself. Just enjoy the process of writing, of settling into the story and immersing yourself in these characters and their environment and what's happening. Just have fun. Play with it. And don't worry about if it's going to get published. Don't worry about if people are going to read it and like it. Do it for you. This is the story on your heart. So just play it out. Friends, thank you so much for your time and energy in listening to this interview. I hope you'll pick up a copy of Estuary very soon, because I can't wait for you to dive into the oceans of time, and I can't wait to hear what you think about it. So read it, review it, share it. I am just so happy that you might be one of my readers. Have a great day.